What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And man, if you thought Gerard Piqué was having a rough day after Shakira dropped that song, hitting him with every bar possible about him cheating on her and her being way above him, and she's a wolf. Well, you don't want to be a Chelsea fan. You'd rather be Gerard Piqué. But we're going to talk about the Premier League game that just happened between Chelsea and Fulham, West London rivalry, and what's going to be the repercussions for Graham Potter going forward. We're going to flash back to yesterday when Man City went up against Southampton and couldn't handle them. And we're going to flash forward to what's coming up this weekend. We got two big derbies, and the Arsenal versus Spurs and the Manchester Derby. So we're going to get into all those things. So follow me on Instagram at Ian Edwards Comic, and I have a show this weekend at the Creek and the Cave in Austin, January 13th and 14th. But let me introduce Lee Hudson, stand-up comic from England, Southampton fan. He's wearing his shirt. What up, Lee?
Hey, I'm all good. You know, I wear this when we lose as well. I wore it after we lost to Forest the other week.
If you're gonna wear it, if you're gonna wear it when you lose, you might as well wear it when you win.
Exactly. No, I'm all good for obvious reasons. Concerned about other members of the podcast tonight. But no, all good.
And then we also we haven't seen him in a long time, but we got Martin Harris, actor. You see him on Stranger Things, in Amsterdam, the movie that had a bunch of stars in it. And he's a Spurs fan, so it's good to have him on for the derby. But why are you really here, Martin? Because we haven't seen you.
I'm here all for the Chelsea today. Yeah, absolutely.
But you're not a Chelsea fan, so why would you be here for all for the Chelsea? I don't understand.
I'm a Chelsea anti-fan.
Okay. So you're here to see Neil squirm. All right, that's good. And Neil ain't here. And we want to talk about the Chelsea game first, which, like, all right, let's push it a little bit. Let's push it to see if he's going to join. I think he is. He's just a little late. But let's talk about yesterday right quick, since we have the opportunity. We're talking about EFL Cup and some team that somebody roots for on this panel is in the semifinals. I don't know if you could guess who it is. And they had to do some giant killing to get there, but they somehow did it after going through a terrible run. And they have a brand new coach who's coaching above his level, so everybody says. And so even the fans thought until yesterday he shut everybody up, him and his team. And Jenna Pro shut me up with a wonder goal. How you feeling about that game yesterday? Beating Man City 2-0, shutting them out. And I just want to take some credit as a Manchester United fan for that win that you got, because here's the deal. The team that they fielded was because they got to play us in the derby on the weekend. So the starting 11 was, kind of like a tamer starting 11. But then they ended with their starting 11 that they're probably going to start against us with. But then you also did us a favor by making them put those players into the game and put some wear and tear on their legs when you guys went up 2-0 and Pep was desperate to win the game. So you gave us a favor, but then you won. So then also this weekend, they might be angry as shit and we might bear the repercussions of that. But congratulations. How you feeling?
I'm still in shock, if I'm honest. I mean, I've made no secret of the fact that, the performances, especially like post-World Cup under Jones, have been diabolical. The loss to Brighton was downright depressing. When I went to watch us against Forest last week on the Wednesday night, was one of the worst games I've ever seen Southampton play live. Like, it was even as depressing as the 9-0s. Even though it was only a 1-0, like playing against, one of the other worst teams in the league and not even having a single shot on target was just awful to watch. And then Palace at the weekend, we didn't play great, but we somehow got the win. We managed to get 2 easy goals out of them. So at least that built some confidence. But I think I ended the podcast on Sunday night by saying pray for Southampton. And I mean, thank you to
Glad
everyone
my
that did,
prayers worked. You're welcome, bro.
Yeah, thanks everyone who went to church for us. Because that performance was, like I said, I wasn't expecting it at all. And credit to Nathan Jones. He's been getting a lot of criticism from a lot of people, including me. But tactically, he got it right. I mean, the Forest game, we played with a back three, a back five. We played with 3 centre backs. Against Palace at the weekend, we went back to a back four. Against Man City, we went back to a back four again, and it worked. Everything tactically did worked. We didn't sit in and try and contain City. We went at them. We tried to press them. We tried to get in their faces. And it was organised. The team actually looked organised. They were fighting. They were working their asses off. And I mean, we've been really lacking goals recently. Like, all of our goals have been coming from mistakes from the opposition or from set pieces. Whereas these were 2 good goals. The cross from Lianco that Mara just swept in with the first touch on the first goal was a high quality finish. And then Gineppo, I mean, he saw it and he went for it, and he got it. He couldn't have got it any more right if he tried. Like, that was a beautiful goal. And then even at 2-0 though, like, I've seen us waste leads, and I looked at their bench and I was like, oh, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Haaland, like all these guys. I was like, they're gonna throw these guys on at half time. They're gonna score one early. We're gonna crumble. We're gonna lose. That was how I saw it going, because I've been hurt too many times in the past by my team in winning positions. But we rode it out, and I think Jones picked a really good time to switch to a back five. The team was getting tired. Man City was starting to get a little bit of a foothold, and he went to a back five, and we saw the game out. We defended well. They didn't have a single shot on target. There was one close when Alvarez slid on the end of a cross, but his shot was going well wide, and it hit Salisu, I think it was, and then went towards the keeper, and the keeper just fell on it. But Pep's first ever loss in a domestic trophy quarter-final game. So records are being broken. Nathan Jones, to his credit, he was not magnanimous towards the fans in the interviews afterwards. He was looking for a fight afterwards, and I kind of like that. I kind of like that attitude.
Why? What did he say?
He was, I've been getting a lot of criticism. People have been saying this, people have been saying that, and I've shut these people up. And it's like, you're not really building a relationship with the fans by doing that. But I kind of like it.
You're not.
Like, you've got to have that hunger
next time
and that
you
fight.
Lose, it's good.
Yeah.
But you know the rules now. You got to keep winning.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to follow up with. That's what I was going to follow up with. This result is meaningless if we do nothing against Everton on the weekend, because I mean, cup games are nice, and it's nice to win these games, and it's nice to have a cup run. If we could make it to a cup final, that'd be amazing. I don't think we'll get past Newcastle over 2 legs, but we'll see. But I don't care about this ultimately. Like, we need to stay in the Premier League. The club needs to stay in the Premier League, and if we beat Palace in the FA Cup and then beat Man City in the Carabao Cup, but then we lose to Everton and then we lose the game after that, which I think is Villa or Brentford or something. If we lose those games and we're screwed in the league, then this means nothing. So it gives us a good chance of gaining some confidence to then go and do it in the league, but we need to do it. So, I mean, I'm feeling better than I was a week ago, but it means nothing unless we go out and turn it into league performances, because we need points and we need them desperately. But Orsic came off the bench for his debut. Alcaraz, the new Argentinian midfielder who Benfica and Inter and a couple of other clubs were looking at, he got unveiled on the pitch before the game. So there's people in. There's apparently a couple more transfers on the way as well. So yeah, I mean, I'm feeling a bit better. I'm still got some pessimism in there, but we'll see what happens at the weekend. Because if we end up going to Everton and getting beat up there, then I'm immediately rock bottom again.
Hilarious. Speaking of rock bottom, I just want to introduce Neil Chakravarty, stand-up comic and Chelsea fan. We were worried when you didn't join the podcast right away, but we're glad you're here and still alive. You look like you just came back from cussing out the entire Chelsea team. That's why you were late.
The traffic near my house is almost as bad as Chelsea. Shambles.
We'll get to
Shambles.
Chelsea. Let me give my little verdict about Southampton. So here's what I would have to say. There are a couple of different ways to leave the party. You know, you can be kicked out of the party. You can just leave quietly, or you can leave while leaving a good impression. And I think that's what Southampton is doing. You know, because it reminds me kind of what happened to Wigan when Wigan Athletic won the FA Cup and they were relegated in the same season. So it has, I would say, that Wigan experience written all over that story. I really want Southampton to win the cup, and I will root for Southampton to win the cup. But I think with that particular roster, I don't think they can stay in the Premier League. And I'm saying that without any smirkiness or trying to be here, you know.
You're not being a troll. You're not being your normal
Without being a
self.
troll, I just think that, and I've said it for a while, that Southampton just doesn't have a good enough team, and it finally caught up with them. I think me and Lee have different opinion about Hasenhüttl. For me, he was the guy to stay with, because unless you upgrade and you find someone better, you don't downgrade. You don't downgrade. Hasenhüttl is a very good manager, and it's just at some point, you know, he didn't have enough to work with. I feel like the front office let him down, because those signings that were made, including like Armstrong, for example, were not a very good signings, and there were not enough signings. Maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, that would be enough. But now the competition is way more. Like, the other teams are really bringing, you know, great players. And just Southampton didn't buy enough. Plus, the manager that they hired for Hasenhüttl isn't at the Hasenhüttl level, and he could be a good guy and maybe try to, I don't know, to have a relationship with players, a different type of relationship, because Hasenhüttl, maybe he was sometimes a little strange in the way he acted. But on the tactical level, I think Hasenhüttl was far superior, and you rather, in the relegation battle, you rather go with an experienced manager versus the inexperienced manager, because the experienced manager in a very tough moment can handle that. I don't think inexperienced manager can.
So you're saying they should have fired Hasenhüttl after the season ended?
Yep, they should have parted ways
after they survived.
Save them from, they should have bought better. That's what I'm saying. Because the team is good.
I agree with some of this. The past few transfer windows haven't been good enough. There's no escaping that, and the squad this year is weak. Hasenhüttl should have gone in the summer. The existing players didn't like him. He had become cold. He'd become distant. Our record, I've said this before on the podcast, that our points per game for 2022 as a calendar year, 0.86, and Nathan Jones was only in charge for 3 of those games. So Hasenhüttl was averaging less than a point per game, which is diabolical. That's relegation form. His time had come to an end. He'd done a good job in spells, but his journey had ended. It should have ended in the summer. They waited too long. Players wanted him gone in the summer because he'd stopped communicating. I think we should have hired better than Jones. So I agree on that front, and I agree we should have strengthened the squad better. They're trying to put, band-aids over the squad now with some signings, and that could work out. It depends who else they get through the door, but it's all giving us a chance. But that's all it is. It's a chance. Right now, we're bottom of the league. We're, on merit, we're the worst team in the league. We need to turn that around. I don't know if we can. But I feel better about it now than I did a week ago. Because after the Forest game, I was ready to call the season there and be like, yeah, we're done. I didn't see anything in that game that suggested we had anything about us that could keep us in this league. But there's a glimmer of hope. But again, like I say, I reserve opinion until after the Everton game, because it means nothing all this last week of cup games if we don't get the points. And yeah, I mean, gun to the head right now, I would still say relegation right now.
I feel like you guys need to make a big signing, like on loan, at least from
They just made some.
No, but like in terms of like someone who is really a difference maker from a.
We just signed a guy who scored a hat trick against Tottenham. So I mean we know he can do it against the smaller teams, but
yeah, that was when Mourinho was the coach. I remember that game against Dinamo Zagreb, or one of the Zagreb teams. But no,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
what I
he
mean,
scored against West Ham in Europa. He scored against Chelsea in the
yeah,
Champions
it's
League under
okay.
Tuchel this
It's okay,
season.
but
So
you need to sign someone huge, like two,
we
three.
can't sign someone
You
huge. We're
can't.
Southampton.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I don't
mean,
know. For example,
We
get
just
guys
signed
like
we just signed a
McTominay
forward
from
who
Man
scored in the
U.
World Cup. Like
Get like
this-
McTominay, or get like a guy like
Who?
who is not playing for Liverpool on a regular basis.
McTominay's
You're
not a
saying-
difference maker.
you were saying
but
we should
guys
sign
like that who are on
McTominay.
big teams, but
We've-
take them on loan for the rest of the season.
We've just signed a guy with World Cup and Champions League goals to his name. Like that's a move in the right direction.
He wasn't really
And-
a top player on the Croatia team. I watched.
But that's
Did you see the goal he scored against Morocco?
that's who
He
they
scored
can
against
get, though.
He scored against Brazil in the shootout as well. He was calm. He got an assist in that game for the equalizer as well. So this is a guy with experience of the top level, and that's the best we can hope for. We're linked with a striker who scored 10 goals in 15 games for Lorient in Ligue 1. So he's potentially a good addition if we can get him. It's the best we can do. We have a level. There's a certain type of player we can attract. I don't want to sign some washed up player that can't get in a top side who's just going to come and go through the motions. I don't want a Dele Alli. I don't want someone like that. I want
not
people
Dele Alli,
that are
but for example,
hungry.
Aguero. Would you sign an Aguero? Yes, no?
He just signed for some club in Ecuador.
No.
He's
But I'll
fine.
give you an example. That level of a player who is not good enough maybe to play for City anymore, but who could score some goals.
Who has heart conditions? You can't.
Yeah, we're not
I see
the
what
team
you're-
for heart conditions right now.
I see what you're saying, Mark. Like the person they should sign just left them a season ago to join Villa, and it's like they couldn't keep on to him. Like you need those goals, but
I think Martin's talking about like some superstar who's winding down his career, like like maybe a Cavani or a Suarez, somebody like that.
Or
Or
someone.
even like what Wolves did with Diego Costa, but that's not been working great.
Yeah,
Cavani would
and
have been good.
does someone like that have the hunger for a relegation battle? Someone like Cavani would have been great, but he's at Valencia now, and he's doing well.
I don't think he would have been in a relegation battle with Cavani. You'd have scored a bunch of goals. You guys
What
would
about
be
like Hudson
fine.
Odoi from Chelsea, or people like that? No,
Who?
Loftus-Cheek, like the guys like that who are not playing for major teams.
I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
Hudson
he's
is
injured.
going.
That's the reason why he's not playing. So
Where's Hudson?
Hudson is at Leverkusen.
Leverkusen,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm
So-
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure our scouting team have considered these things, and I'm happy with the business we've done so far. I'll be happy if we get a couple more in because I don't think it's enough at the moment. But Orsic is like pretty much the best we can do right now. Like his CV is like the best we can hope for. So we'll see. But I mean, like I say, guns to the head, I still think at the moment we'll go down because we're bottom of the league and we haven't done anything in the league yet to suggest it. But there's hope after yesterday. There's some more hope. Not much, but some.
Well, listen, man, great win. It was great to see Man City lose yesterday. Anytime they lose, I feel better. It shows that they're not invincible, but also, they're going to come back firing at us on the weekend. But we're going to get to that. Right now, we're going to talk about Chelsea and pull the shaft of the blade out of Neil's back and then tie a tourniquet around the part where the blood is coming out and try to solder it with a hot iron closed and see if we could save his life. So Chelsea played Fulham. And here's the things. If you're Graham Potter and it ain't been going great, you can't lose to your West London rival, Fulham, who is kind of below you in stature. You also can't lose to a team that has only beat you once in 31 Premier League games. You also can't let an ex-player who Neil has no respect for, Willian, score on you. You also can't lose to a team that doesn't have their best scorer, Mitrovic. And you also can't let someone who hasn't scored since he's been in the Premier League for Fulham, and since they got him, Vinicius, score on you. And all those things that you can't do, Chelsea let happen. And you also, the last thing you can't do when you're playing Fulham is let your brand new loan signing get a red card in the middle of the game and end the game with 10 men. And if you wrote those on a list, Chelsea checked them all off and they lost to Fulham. How you feeling, bro? You watched it, to talk us through it.
I mean, it's just been a continuation in terms of like, it's just going from bad to worse. So I don't know like what new to say today that I haven't already said. It's just that I again, like I keep saying that there are certain games like the last game, the FA Cup game which we lost to City. We are horrible in that game, right? And we deserve to lose, and that is a reflection of where we are as a football team right now. But today, actually, I think performance-wise, we played well. This was actually, in an attacking sense, this was probably a second best game of the entire season. Any metric, like we've been a team which, like last week I said, right, like we're in the bottom half of almost every metric you can look at from an attacking point of view. Today was good. We had 20 shots, 10 of them on goal, which is, a great, so there's efficiency there. We created 4 big chances, which is a huge change, because Chelsea this season has been creating on an average 1.35 big chances per game. Typically a big side like Man City, Liverpool, they create around 3 big chances a game on average. So we created 4 today, which was a positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't really give Fulham a lot of chances. A couple of them. It's just that they scored on every one of those chances. So which again comes back to what I've been saying, that we have become a very soft touch now. This reminds me of like the last month under Lampard, where everything was, we weren't conceding a lot of shots or chances, but everything we were conceding was turning out into a goal. Every cross was like throwing a grenade into the 6-yard box. Like the second goal that they scored today, Kepa almost like he dummies the ball. Like I've never seen that. Like from a goalkeeper, it's usually the attacker trying to dummy the keeper. But Kepa almost like he goes for the ball and then hangs back and hopes for the best, and a certain lack of leadership too. Like there's not much communication between Thiago Silva and Chalobah, but those things kept happening. And earlier on in the game, I think Joa Felix, first let's start with the fact that he actually started the game, having just arrived yesterday. I thought that was a huge indictment of the forwards that are already at the club. Somebody like Ziyech, who was on the bench.
But we know that though. You wouldn't have got him if your forwards was doing good.
Yeah, but they're so bad that the guy could just lands at Heathrow yesterday. He's not even gotten over his jet lag. And he has to play.
But we're talking about Ziyech, who was a star at the World Cup. He was amazing at the World Cup. I mean, why is he so different in the playing for Morocco and for Chelsea? And we've seen him playing for Ajax Amsterdam. He was great for Ajax Amsterdam as well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of these players. It's a combination of playing in the Premier League, managers not using them in their best positions.
He crosses. He's one of his biggest weapons. He's a great crosser. He's born to play in the Premier League.
He tries those crosses in the Premier League too, but they're almost always met with the head. You possibly don't see that level of physical awareness in some of the other leagues. So, but Felix was great. And in fact, the way Felix, Mount and Havertz were playing, I was like, come on, this can be a great template, because we are creating chances. We look like, we're finally getting enough players in those forward positions, something, top clubs like Man City, Arsenal, can't believe I'm saying that. Something like these teams do that regularly these days, right? And unfortunately, one of the great chances fell to Lewis Hall, who he has been so good for us since he's come on, but he's missed some absolute golden chances in like the 4 or 5 games he's played. So he needs to definitely work on his finishing. Havertz missed a chance. Felix himself missed a chance. But it was like overall, it was going well. And then, something out of almost nothing is a cross ball, nobody meets it. And then Willian takes a shot, which is a very typical Willian shot, shooting straight at the keeper. But Chakravarty, he's not sharp enough. It goes not just through his legs, because if it had gone through his legs and straight at Kepa, right, he would have caught it. But it takes a deflection, goes into a goal up. So, I called it in the group chat, like, this has a Willian masterclass written all over it, right? And it kind of happened.
All those years of you bashing William, he heard you. And he's like, Neil,
I mean, that's
you
what,
know.
even with us, that's how he got a lot of his goals, a lot of hard work and a lot of luck. So,
Oh boy, you stay disrespectful. And
but second half we get the goal, and it looks like finally, we're getting some momentum into the game. And then Zakaria, who's been so critical for us in the last since we've come back from the World Cup, he goes down with the knock. And then I immediately knew that, like, whatever battles we were winning in the middle of the field, like, we don't have the physical presence anymore, so we're not gonna.
Who did they replace him with?
Jorginho. And then Koulibaly makes a pass, which is a little heavy, but then Felix, he doesn't need to go in for that, right? Like, that was a miscalculation, and that was obviously a clear red card. And
Hey man,
you can't catch a break.
Hey man, it takes two. That miscalculation and the slide.
Yeah. So
I feel like he didn't go in with the full, like, force. He was almost trying to pull out, but he was already committed by that point. And
it was literally a tap.
Yeah, like, he didn't like push through on it, but the studs are up and he's high.
Made studs are high. Yeah, it's high, and you made contact.
So he might as well just have went straight in then. Because if you're gonna get the red, take the play out. Like, if you're gonna give me a red for pulling out, I'll take one for getting rid of the player too.
Yeah. And so I feel like overall my conclusion from today was, I think Potter got most things right. Like, you can't blame him. The fact is that he is still dealing with 10 or 11 players out. That's a pretty decent 11 when you look at that, the players who are out. He still put out a team that, created a lot of chances today, should have had the goals. Like, the fact that we are missing chances at the top end is not really on him, right? Like, the fact that Kepa did what he did on that second goal, and then Chakravarty, that was pretty poor defending on the first goal. Those are like individual mistakes. So, but overall, when you're in this run of 1 win in 10 games, you're gonna get sacked. I will be shocked if the sun comes out tomorrow morning and Graham Potter is still manager for Chelsea Football Club.
Damn.
So,
well, Martin is jet lagged, but he joined just to enjoy your misery. So what you got on this, Martin?
Well, here's the thing.
Why is Martin jet lagged? Like, it's been a while since you've been there. Joa Felix arrived in Chelsea.
What are you talking about? I came back yesterday from Europe.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still there.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was in Europe, but I'll tell you what. When I was watching with Ian the World Cup final, I was pretty convinced it will be the best football game I'm going to see in a while. But then the game today happened, and I had to change my mind. That's the best.
Damn.
It was like a perfect Hollywood film. It had everything. It had the Willian factor, and the fact that he is your favorite player for years, and he's scoring the first goal. It's almost like a Hollywood screenplay. And then the Joa Felix, another big signing, and he gets the red card. Yeah, it looks like everything goes wrong for Chelsea at the moment. And listen, it's been a nightmare of a season for Chelsea and for Potter. He's not Harry Potter of the Premier League. Clearly, he's not pulling magic tricks, and it's very embarrassing. But I'll tell you, I have to ask you this, and quite seriously, because jokes aside, I'll get back to jokes in a second. But let me ask you this: how much you think the fact that it's not Abramovich but Belly in charge of the football club is sinking that football club? How much that actually affects Chelsea more than the fact that Graham Potter is the manager, not Tuchel? That's because I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
yeah. No, I
Abramovich.
agree completely.
Something
Like,
has
no,
changed.
it was the most stupid decision I've ever seen. Like, I think it's unparalleled in the history of at least modern club football, that kind of sacking. Like, we've seen some shocking sackings, right? But to sack a manager that you've backed in the window to the tune of, don't forget, this was the second largest money spent in a single transfer window, not just the Premier League, all time anywhere. Just after the Real Madrid, the window where they bought Hazard and Jovic and all those players. So this is a historically high transfer window where you went in and you backed the manager and you sacked the manager one day after the transfer window closed. So, I mean, the sheer magnitude of that stupidity, like it's insane, right?
Yeah,
but having
so
said that, what was Abramovich? Wasn't Abramovich also known for making madcap managerial sackings too? Like maybe there was a little more method to the madness, but it was trending in that same direction. So
no. But my question is, how much you think you're worse as a football club since Abramovich was replaced by Belly? How much does it affect, Chelsea that's your owner right now? And
From finishing in the top 4 to being 10th right now. Are
no,
you 10th or
we are worse in the sense that we used to have a top class manager. We don't have one anymore.
So you don't think that the owner, that's because of the new owner that the Chelsea is not going in the right direction?
No, I do think so, but only to the extent that he was the guy who sacked Tuchel. If he hadn't sacked Tuchel and everything else stayed the same, there's absolutely no difference. I would actually say Bodhi has been a positive change for Chelsea because after years and years, like people like me, fans like me, have been crying out for, having processes in place, having good backroom stuff. I think he's finally doing that. But he spoiled every other thing that he did because a manager of the football club is probably the single most important person at the club. And he's completely fumbled the ball on that.
And Martin, to ask that question, you're ignoring all their injuries. Like they have a monumental, you can't. But also, just about today's game, even though Chelsea was good in a lot of those metrics that you mentioned and XG, they still have the same problem that they had since Lampard. It's finishing. And it's like, you guys cannot finish. Joa Felix was bright today. He was electric today. And when I watched him play today, I was like, oh, they bought a player from one of the few teams in La Liga that plays like a Premier League team. So this guy will actually fit in because Atletico Madrid plays like a Premier League team in La Liga. They've won La Liga playing like that. So they're actually he's actually has more experience playing in the Premier League than he doesn't coming here the first day. And he did win some 50-50s and showed a lot of physical determination. And his Atletico Madridness actually got him taken off the field. Plus, he's trying to show the fans, I'm here for you. It's not just about this loan. And I think he's also playing hard enough. He tried to play good enough to get the complete transfer in one game because he does not want to go back to.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans
Madrid.
are saying sign him up now. We don't care. We don't care.
Yeah.
There's no option. There's no option to buy though.
Yeah.
He just signed a contract extension until 2027 or something crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that might just be Atletico making sure if he does go, they get an even bigger.
I think that's what
transfer fee.
Yeah, because even the board in Atletico have talked about selling him. He's for sale. It's like a known thing. That's why this loan is possible.
But also I think there are certain variables, right? Hasn't Simeone also announced that he's leaving Atletico Madrid at the end of the season? So there's going to be a new manager. Yeah, I think he announced that, or the club announced that somewhere. So there's going to be a new manager, right? And Simeone and Felix apparently didn't get along. So who knows? Things might change there too.
Yeah.
So all right. Let's move.
But one more thing on the whole Abramovich versus Boli thing. I actually place a lot of blame on the last. So one thing really happened, Tuchel, of course he had issues at the top end of the pitch, right? But one thing he had absolutely perfected was the back. He had absolutely made sure that Chelsea is a very tough team to beat and break down. Now, what caused that to change was that we had to let go of Rudiger and Christensen. And that was such a monumental event that happened. And that is completely on Abramovich. Like that was completely Abramovich and the people who he hired and appointed and trusted, completely dropping the ball and playing hardball when you didn't need to, and making sure that that those players are not here anymore.
I just want to take credit for bringing that up the other day when I gave the laundry list of Chelsea's problems, and those are injuries you can't come back from, like they're gone forever. Yeah. So it's a part of like everything from back then. Like all the right mistakes were made for Graham Potter to fail right now. Perfect.
So I don't really miss Abramovich. I miss Tuchel, and Bowley's to blame for that. So that's the only way I can put it.
Do you think Potter can turn it around? Do you think Potter can do a better job in the future? No.
He's sacked. Like I will be absolutely amazed if he still has the job. So it doesn't matter what I think. I
want him to stay. He's doing great.
No. Okay. So here's the thing: if you come down to actual logistics, right? The financials of paying out Potter is huge. It's insane. Bowley, again, another stupid thing that he did. Like he gave him like something insane, like a 6-year contract or something like that. So it's so that might be the only thing that keeps him in the job. That it's too costly to get rid of it.
But why did he do so good at Brighton and he's not doing good at Chelsea? Like, what do you think has changed?
I mean,
Chelsea and Brighton, isn't it?
Two different, two completely different jobs. Two completely different set of requirements.
You think it's tactically, or the players just don't listen to Chelsea?
Also, I think a lot of what we remember about Potter at Brighton is the second half of Potter at Brighton, right? Like he had a slow start at Brighton too, and he was kind of set up to fail here because the circumstances of Tuchel's sacking and the fact that he had to take in he spent all of summer thinking of completely different team and different players, right? He had no clue that this was going to be his job. So he didn't get the job in the best of circumstances. So
Also, it's a bit of a weird mishmash of a squad as well, and the injuries haven't helped with that. In terms of like, you look at the amount of money they spent on Fofana from Leicester, and then the amount of money they spent on Koulibaly. Obviously, Fofana got injured. Koulibaly hasn't really adapted to English football as easily as I thought he would. And some of those players, and all that money spent, they've just never signed. I think Aubameyang's the closest thing they've signed to a number 9, and that was at the whim of Tuchel, because it was here's my ex-player. So they brought him in. He played one game, 2 games maybe, and then
60 minutes to be precise. 59 minutes
against Dinamo Zagreb, and then Tuchel was gone. So it's a squad functioning without a real number 9. Broja could have been the nearest thing to that, but then he got injured and he wasn't really quite ready for that role as a starter anyway. So, just a real mishmash of a squad. There's some dead wood. There's some good players there, but they're injured. I think Chelsea come out of this as an elite club eventually again, but it won't be this season. It might not even be the beginning of next season. I think all the foundations are there, especially with all the work being done to assemble all these staff off the field, the recruitment team and the technical team and things like that. So it could come to fruition. Whether or not that's with Potter in charge, I don't know. But they signed one of his guys from Brighton as well to lead up the recruitment side of things. So there is that. So he's got some allies at the club. And Chelsea, I think, have said they'll stick by him. But the problem is, with every loss, that becomes harder and harder. And it's an interesting one. I think he could do well there in the long run, but if the short term keeps going badly, then he's not giving himself much of a chance.
And especially
if... Hi guys. We just only because I gotta go soon.
Sure.
So I just want to talk about the 2 derbies that's coming. 2 major derbies. It's like normally there's one big match that's a marquee for the weekend. This time it's the Manchester Derby, City versus United, and United are on a good run. The last time we played Man City, it was not good. We won 6-3, and we weren't as assembled or as a team right now. I actually think that loss kind of helped us. So we're on a good run. We've won 4 out of our last 5. I think Man City has won 3 out of their last 5, had 1 draw and 1 loss. Like Casemiro is finally entrenched and in place as like we have a midfield that we didn't have before. And this is going to be our biggest task or game since we lost to Man City however many games ago. One of the things that gives me confidence is that we're playing at home, but one of the things that makes me lose confidence is that we're playing Man City. And there's the psychological ass whooping that we got to get over, and how we approach that last ass whooping. Do we try to get like movie revenge, like you killed my wife and it's on now, and we will hunt you down until the last man? Do we go John Wick on them? Do we go in there with like, I don't care what happens to me, let's get them John Wick style? Or a lot of things could happen in the game. Another thing that does give me confidence also is that I feel like our coach, Ten Hag, is more practical or pragmatic than Pep. Like Pep is going to try to play and win the same way all the time. He might make some changes to his lineup and change shape here and there, but it's always towards the same end goal. And I think with Ten Hag, he's like, we're at home. I want to get this win in front of these fans. So there might be, depending if we go ahead or even how he starts the game, I don't think he'll mind being a little defensive just to get the win and counterattack them. Or he might just press and try to get them that way. We got the new Dutch guy. I think he's there, but I'm not sure. I think he has to be registered by tomorrow to be available. And we still don't know if he's just going to be in the squad. But what do you guys think is Manchester United's chances against Man City, whose Lee's team pissed off midweek by knocking them out the quarterfinals?
I think you've got a better chance than you did in the first game against them, for sure, because I think you're coming into this in great form, in great confidence. You look really cohesive as a team now. Like the players fully understand how they're being asked to play. The relationships all across the field have been getting stronger and stronger with every game. You've got players that are in the form of their life as well. Like Rashford is balling out at the moment. He's scoring goals, creating goals, doing everything. Casemiro is fully acclimated to the league now and is showing everyone
fully activated.
Yeah, he's showing everyone what a world-class player he is, and you didn't have him in that state. You didn't have him in that state last time you played City, and that midfield battle is going to be so crucial. So if you've got him on form in there, Bruno's playing really well at the moment as well. You've got a back four that are keeping clean. It'd be interesting to see who he picks as the back four. That's what I'm really interested to see this one. Does he stick with Dalot? Does he put Wan-Bissaka in for his defensive abilities? Does he play Luke Shaw left back, or does he play Luke Shaw centre back? Because Maguire's obviously out of favour right now. Varane obviously will be playing if he's. And
if Varane and Martinez are healthy,
yeah,
it's going to be them. And if Dalot was taken out of the last league game with an injury, they said it was a precautionary substitution. So if he's fine, he'll start, and Shaw will be on the side for sure. Unless there's something. Just to answer that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot about Martinez and the fact that he's back now as well. So it's an interesting game, and I think you've got a chance. Like you say, City will be pissed off. They're going to have their strongest team out, and when they're on it, they're on it. But they're ropey at the back at the moment. I think their best defender this season so far has been John Stones, and he's injured now. I mean, the players they had there at the back against us were woeful. They played Kyle Walker centre back, and he was terrible. Cancelo was playing in his regular position at fullback and was terrible. Gomez, who I liked since he's been at City, he had a terrible game. So the confidence is all over the place, and they didn't get much better when Akanji and Ake were on. So Ake's been having a good season as well, though. So it'd be interesting to see who they start with, whether they throw the kid who they've been playing in as well, the young fullback who's had some games. I can't remember his name now. Rico something, the young British kid.
I know something Lewis.
Rico Lewis. Yeah. Yeah.
He's been
He's
good.
nice.
Yeah, so I mean, the way Cancelo's playing at the moment and the way Walker's playing at the moment, he might be ahead of them for this game. Pep likes to make those bold calls sometimes. So, yeah, I mean,
Pep ruined Cancelo because he's got his mind confused whether he's a right back or a right wing forward, because he's like
he plays him on the left as well sometimes,
and on the left. So he's like, I think he's confused right now. So good.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of the result, I can't call it right now because the way United are playing at the moment, and the way United are playing at home, like they've turned Old Trafford into a place to be feared again. There's a swagger about them right now, but when City are on it, they're on it. And if Haaland's in the mood, then if De Bruyne is in the mood, then you've got a problem. But I mean, I don't know where City's heads are at after what happened during the week. So yeah, anything could happen. I can't call it.
Wait, what do you think, Neil? And then we get to you, Martin, because we're going to go from your response to the London.
I think United, this is the kind of rebuild United has. It's been pending at United for a very long time. Like, you've got that combination of a competent manager who's not, like in some of your previous cases, not past his prime. He's still kind of like either at his prime or like building towards his prime. So, the ambition is there, and he's got a bunch of players now. He's taken some hard calls, gotten rid of some of the, like Ronaldo, for example, like gotten rid of some of the players that were not, even though they have done good stuff for United in the last season, didn't completely fit his plans. And he's gotten new players in, both young players and experienced players, revitalized some of the players who, were not really pulling any, not really doing any great things at United all these years. Like Rashford's revival has been really good to see. The fact that I also felt like at the summer that Casemiro was it was going to be your most important signing, and it's kind of turned out to be that way because you always had that middle of the park problem. And Casemiro, right now it feels like it's absolutely smooth right now. So the forwards play with a lot more freedom. Casemiro himself, like he links up a lot more in attack. So yeah, I feel like City, and with Man City, unlike some of the previous seasons, they are very much behind the 8 ball right now. Like even against us, you saw like the last league game, they won, but it wasn't easy for them. Like it could have gone either way. They had a really poor first half. Unfortunately for us, we couldn't capitalize on that fact. I think United, if City start poorly, United can easily capitalize on that and make a big statement in that first half. So yeah, it'll be an interesting game to see. I think City players, like, they've probably not been used to this kind of this kind of situation on the points table at this stage of the season. And especially Lee's guys did you guys a favor. The pressure's even more on them right now.
And they, like you just mentioned, the points, they can't drop
They
points.
Can't drop points because Arsenal's not dropping points.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they drew to Everton, didn't they? Not long ago. They got beat by Brentford just before the World Cup as well. Like, there's been some bad results there.
Yeah, so this is a must win. It's not just a derby for Man City, it's a must win. Like, it's a bonus for us, but this is like the title is on the line for them. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. And, like, I think I want to make sure I made my point when I said one of our advantages is Ten Hag is more pragmatic. Like, at a certain point in the game, if we're ahead, he won't mind getting defensive to salvage a point, the 3 points or the draw. He's adaptable. Like, Pep, if they're winning, they'll try to keep winning more, and that might hurt them. But we'll see. Martin, what do you think about this?
So I went to Poland and Germany last 2 weeks, and I usually when I'm in Europe, I visit a friend of mine, Hirek, who is a diehard Man U fan, and he's a DJ and like a radio.
Good guy.
Personality.
I don't know him, but good
like
guy.
diehard Man U fan for like 30 years.
Love him. Never met him. Love him.
So even if we always eat dinner, he prepares at his place. Even if we see each other once a year, it was the day when Man U played, so he forced me to watch the game against Everton. I haven't seen Man U in a while, and I was actually impressed. I think Rashford is in an amazing form right now, and I start seeing like why every single Man U fan I know in my life kind of likes Ten Hag. Like I haven't heard one guy saying that that Ten Hag is not the right manager for Man U. And now I kind of start seeing why. And I think you have a pretty good chance, although I wouldn't overestimate the fact that Man City lost to Southampton. I don't think that matters really for that particular game. It can actually get them even more focused and more angry. So I wouldn't say that's bad for Man City in terms of them playing United. Actually, it's good because it makes them more hungry. They were a little bit...
That's what we were saying.
Yeah. So plus, I don't think Guardiola really cared about that particular cup as much. I think he understands. He smells blood. He understands that Arsenal have some major injuries and they don't have that big of a squad, and there is a chance. Plus, Arsenal always loses at Tottenham every single year. They beat us at home and they lose at our place. So I'm pretty confident we'll beat them. And if City wins against United, the game is on for the title. So, yeah,
I mean, it's on regardless. So let's talk about Arsenal versus Tottenham this weekend. It's at Tottenham. And like you say, you guys, no matter what's going on with your season, most of the time you guys exchange a win each season.
Yep.
But could this be one of those seasons? Because I've seen a lot of games with Spurs at home against even lesser teams, and they've lost to some of these teams or dropped points to some of these teams. And I know a derby is different. Like this is a special derby. It's different. So like Harry Kane and them, is that me? Harry Kane and them should like put up a better fight than they have in some of the disappointing performances that they've had this season. But this is an Arsenal with now they just have this level of ability and determination that I don't think even at home Spurs can overcome, especially the way Spurs has been like playing all season, and especially since this is a derby. So I'm gonna go with Arsenal because Man United cannot catch them at the top of the table. What they're doing up there, that's theirs. But it would help us if they slow you guys down. So, but I also believe they could beat Spurs at home this time, and that they really want to, more than even probably, not more than the title, but just now they believe their title, they want to do two things this season: beat Spurs twice and win the title. And they would love to do that. So what do you think, Martin?
No, I don't think they can. I think the Gabriel Jesus injury is a major blow. I think that's a game changer, and I've seen some good signs from the last game and some bad signs from Arsenal from their last game against Newcastle. It looks like they'll have problems scoring moving forward, and their squad is thin. I have a bunch of Arsenal fans in my life, really good friends. And even, one guy who is always very optimistic about Arsenal, even in the most ridiculous circumstances, he believes Arsenal will be top four. And when they were finishing ninth, he's worried. He says, we don't have enough players. We might not win the title because of that.
But they do for this game.
No, they don't have Gabriel Jesus. I think Gabriel Jesus was the guy who made a difference in the first game those two teams played. And I'm pretty confident it could be a vintage Harry Kane performance. I think he can score a hat-trick in this game. I have a feeling he showed in the last game that he is very angry, and he's very angry after the way World Cup has ended for him. And he will have a great run for the remainder of the season, and I think he'll score 2 or 3 goals in this game. Yeah,
2 or 3. All right, Neil, what do you think? And then we'll end with Lee. Is Martin delusional?
I mean, I think on a scale of 1 to Martin, Martin's less delusional right now.
Right.
You see?
I agree. I agree.
So,
But I wanted to
no.
just throw the delusional out there.
No, I think they're doing what they're. It's just not turning out into that great, ambitious story that everyone thought when Conte came in. But I think based on where Spurs were at the time he was appointed, I think they've done really well, and they've taken an incremental step from there, and that's really what you want from any manager, that you push the team forward. We always knew it wasn't going to be easy to push Spurs all the way to, like, competing for the title or something like that. I think if anybody thought that, which my biggest shock was, like, how did Conte think that was going to be possible? Like, he should have known better. But having said that, I think he's doing a pretty good job. I think Spurs are really nicely placed in that top 4 race, even though it's not going to be easy with Newcastle.
I mean, they're out of it right now. They're 5th.
Yeah, but I think as long as they can keep Kane fit.
They're within range.
Yeah, they're within range. So you don't need to panic right now unless it's as long as you're within that 5-6 points gap, going into the last 2 months of the season, I think you're doing fine. So yeah, I don't think things are going to dramatically change. They've not played amazing football, but they've played the kind of football Conte is kind of known for. You just have to hope that they keep their heads above water, because the moment things go a little bad, we've seen what Conte can turn into. So that's their biggest challenge, to save the club from Conte.
So, and Lee, what do you think about this monumental game coming up this weekend?
I mean, everyone loves an underdog story, but not in this case. I mean, Spurs are huge underdogs for this one. I know previously they have a good record against Arsenal at home, but this will be the true test if this is a different Arsenal or not. I think Martin was hugely disrespectful with his Jesus statement, ignoring the fact that Odegaard has maybe been one of the best players in the Premier League this season. For me, he's the one. He's the one that's making them tick, not Jesus. Jesus was playing a very good role for the team. He was leading the press well. He was getting assists and he was bringing people into play. He was performing very well in that team. But I think the fact that they've not missed him as much as people thought they would is down to the fact that they have just such creative quality, and Nketiah's doing the best he can. It'll be interesting to see if he starts in this game. I think they will. I think they're putting trust in him. He got some confidence in the FA Cup as well with some goals at the weekend. So I think this is the test for Arsenal now. It's like, if you want to win the league, you need to go and win a game like this. If they lose this, I think it could knock their confidence and cause a crumble. We've seen that happen with them in the past. So now it's, this is the question this weekend. It's like, Arsenal, have you got the balls to win this title? And this game will be huge in that. I think they do, though, because I think, like I say, Odegaard's on a different level this season. Saka's in great form. Martinelli is up for this game as well. If their midfield is fit and they've got Partey and Xhaka in there, I think that that's where the game will be won, because I think those two will just outplay the Spurs midfield, to be honest. And it depends how Conte approaches this as well, because if he just sits in and invites the pressure, which he's done in the big games this season, I think Arsenal have got the quality to pick him off and find those chances and score. So I'm edging towards Arsenal. I hope they can do it. Like I say, it's the mentality test for them now, though, as to whether they can go and win a game like this, because the minimum Spurs will do, that Conte will do, is have them up for the fight in this game. I don't think Spurs have the quality to win the game, but if they have more heart than Arsenal, then they could. But if Arsenal have got the heart to match Tottenham, then they've got more skill, they've got more ability, they've got more game changers in their team, so they'll be the ones who win it. But only if their mentality is right. That's what will lose Arsenal this game. Will be their mentality. So it's a big test for them. Have they learned? Have they grown from those previous years? Yeah.
What
And I
about
feel
the
like
Newcastle?
Arsenal, let me just say one more thing. I feel like Arsenal haven't had any mentality drop in any of their games when their full squad plays this season. And Martin said, what about Newcastle? Newcastle is a really good team. That result is a legit result. That's not a blip. That's Newcastle. You try beat Newcastle, good luck. Like we drew with them. And I think Liverpool did, and I don't think Man City, I got to go back and check. Newcastle is legit. So
Yeah, they beat Spurs at White Hart Lane.
yeah, so dropping points to them is no shame at home. That's just Newcastle. So that you can't just look at that result and be like, what about Newcastle? Any last words on this Arsenal thing, Martin?
Yeah, I don't believe in Arsenal. I think the only chance for them is that you guys beat City. I don't see them getting 100%. They're not getting 3 points. That I can sign a statement and put all my savings in it.
Damn.
Maybe they can get a draw, but I don't think so. I think we're gonna win because of the Harry Kane. I have a feeling Harry Kane is up for the big game. I feel like he'll score a lot of goals for the rest of the season. I think. What he showed in the previous game, if he didn't have a game like that, I would have thought maybe the missed penalty shrinks him as a player. But now I see a guy who's trying to prove something, that he has a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's gonna have a fantastic rest of the season because of that, because the fight he's showing right now as a player. I think that's almost like a wake-up call for him, that this is the time for him to get to the next level, you know?
Right. I mean, you're not wrong. Like Harry Kane, you can't sleep on Harry Kane. And I think what Conte needs to do is get his formula of defending and counter-attacking right. And you can't, in this game, like Lee was suggesting, a mistake that Spurs make is we're only going to play one half of each 90 minutes, and it's the second half, or else Arsenal will score a ton of goals, more than Spurs will be able to come back from. So this is going to be interesting. We don't know what's going to happen, but we just hope for some exciting games this weekend. I got to bounce because I'm in Austin, and I got to go do some shows. But thank you all for coming on. Martin, thanks. Is there anything else you want to say to Neil? Any more last, things you want to get in? Like, or are you good?
Yeah.
Did you get it all out?
Keep the magic on. Keep Harry Potter's magic on.
Oh boy.
Zinedine Zidane's coming, guys. Zizou's coming.
Oh boy. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. Leave a review at I don't even know what Spotify does reviews, but at iTunes, and ask some questions and tell us what you think under the video on YouTube. All right, y'all. One.
I have to say that one magic trick particularly